You've been told dragonflies can sting you, that they're aggressive, that they bite without warning, that something with a body that long and that fast has to be dangerous. Almost none of that is true. The real story is stranger. An animal with no stinger at all. That spends years of its life underwater before you ever see it fly. That hunts with a success rate no lion or shark comes close to, and whose ancient relatives had wings the size of hawks. Anything you know about dragonflies is wrong. Stick around, because the real version is a lot less scary and a lot more impressive. Start with the basics almost nobody has right. Dragonflies aren't a small, tidy category. Scientists have described somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 distinct species, and researchers recently described 60 new ones from Africa alone, the biggest single batch in roughly a century. Every dragonfly has 4 wings, not 2, and unlike almost every other flying insect, it can move each wing independently, which is part of why it flies less like a moth and more like a tiny helicopter. It also has one thing at the tip of its body that gets misunderstood more than almost anything else about it. That range in the estimates isn't sloppy science. It reflects how much of the tropics, where dragonfly diversity is richest, still hasn't been fully surveyed. Myth number 1, and it's right there in old folklore. Dragonflies were once nicknamed the devil's darning needle, supposedly able to sew shut the lips of liars or sleeping children, with the sharp point at the end of their tail. So does that tail actually do anything close to what the legend says? The story was passed down as a warning, told to children specifically to keep them quiet and well-behaved, which is a strange thing to build around an insect that spends most of its time doing nothing more threatening than sitting on a reed in the sun. Dragonflies have no stinger. None at all. That pointed structure at the tip of the abdomen is an ovipositor, an egg-laying organ in females, or a clasping organ males used during mating. It was never a weapon. It can't puncture your skin, inject anything, or hurt you in any way. The entire devil's darning needle story is folklore. Full stop, a vivid old scare story with zero basis in the actual anatomy of the animal. What about bites then? Dragonflies can bite. They have small, strong jaws built for chewing other insects. But it's rare. It almost only happens if you handle or trap one. And when it does happen, it feels like a small pinch. No venom, nothing dangerous, no treatment needed. Most people will go their entire life without ever being bitten by a dragonfly. And the ones who are usually did something to provoke it first. Compare that to a mosquito, a wasp, or a horsefly, all of which bite or sting far more readily and far more painfully, and none of which get anywhere near the reputation dragonflies do. The fear is almost entirely inherited from folklore, not from anything the animal has actually done to anyone. So the dragonfly you're not afraid of anymore has one more secret, and it's the biggest one. Everything you've ever seen a dragonfly do, it did in a tiny fraction of its actual life. It sounds almost like a trick question, and in a way, it is one, because the honest answer changes everything about how you should picture this animal. Most people, if asked, would guess a dragonfly lives for a few weeks at most here in spring, gone by summer. That part is actually true, but it's also almost the least important part of the story. An adult dragonfly really does only live somewhere between 1 and 8 weeks, occasionally a few months in ideal conditions. But before it was ever an adult, it was a nymph living entirely underwater, hunting other aquatic insects, tadpoles, even small fish for 1 to 2 years. In some large species, that underwater stage stretches to 3, 4, even 5 years. Add it all up, and a dragonfly can spend roughly 95% of its entire life underwater, as something that looks nothing like the animal you picture. Before it ever climbs out, splits its old skin open, and takes its first flight. If a dragonfly's life were compressed into a single day, it would spend nearly the entire day underwater and only step outside briefly, somewhere around 11 at night. And that hidden underwater stage isn't just survival, it's already useful to you. Dragonfly nymphs eat mosquito larvae by the thousands before those mosquitoes ever get the chance to become biting adults. Then the dragonfly grows up and keeps doing the same job in the air, picking adult mosquitoes out of open flight. 2 life stages, two different environments. One continuous mosquito control operation running the entire time. In some wetlands, a single healthy dragonfly population can meaningfully reduce local mosquito numbers across an entire breeding season without a single chemical spray, which raises an obvious question. Exactly how good is a dragonfly at catching things? The answer is almost absurd. Every hunting animal you can think of misses constantly. A wolf succeeds on maybe 1 in 5, a house cat roughly 1 in 3. Even a great white shark, one of the most efficient predators in the ocean, misses about half the time. A dragonfly does not have that problem. Those numbers aren't failures on the predator's part. They're just the normal cost of hunting fast-moving prey. A dragonfly operates on a completely different curve. Dragonflies catch their prey successfully somewhere between 95 and 97% of the time, one of the highest hunting success rates recorded for any predator on the planet. Part of the secret is flight control most animals simply don't have. A dragonfly can rotate its body up to 5 times per second, independently adjusting pitch, roll, and yaw in midair, predicting where prey will be a fraction of a second before it gets there, instead of just chasing where it already is. Most predators are essentially reacting to where prey already is. A dragonfly is doing something closer to solving a moving equation in real time, and it solves it correctly almost every single try. That prediction is only possible because of what a dragonfly sees with. Each of its 2 enormous compound eyes is built from thousands of individual lenses, feeding thousands of separate light detectors, giving it nearly a full sphere of vision around its own body, and motion tracking fast enough to follow prey most animals couldn't even register. It's good enough that engineers now build camera systems directly modeled on it. Human peripheral vision, by comparison, covers barely half a circle, and most of it is low resolution, which is part of why the dragonfly barely needs to turn its head to track something moving directly behind it. This exact body plan, 4 independent wings, a predator's eyes, elite flight control isn't new. It's roughly 300 million years old, and it used to come in a size that would genuinely startle you. Around 300 million years ago, Earth's atmosphere held roughly 35% oxygen, compared to about 21% today. That extra oxygen let insect respiratory systems support far bigger bodies than they can now, and the close relatives of modern dragonflies, called griffinflies, took full advantage. One species, Meganeuropsis permiana, had a wingspan of up to 75 centimeters, nearly 2.5 feet, roughly the size of a hawk's wingspan, on an insect built from the same basic blueprint as the dragonfly resting on a reed in your backyard. No modern insect could survive at that size today. Our current atmosphere simply doesn't deliver enough oxygen through an insect's passive breathing tubes to support a body that large. The giants were, in a very real sense, a product of the air itself. Modern dragonflies didn't keep the size, but at least one species kept something almost as remarkable, a migration most people have never heard of. The globe skimmer dragonfly makes a nonstop crossing of the Indian Ocean of more than 2,000 kilometers, likely the longest regular nonstop migration, relative to body size, of any insect alive. This is an animal about 5 centimeters long, weighing roughly 300 milligrams, gliding and flapping across open water with no chance to land, rest, or refuel, relying on favorable winds the entire way. Zoom out further, and across multiple generations, the full migration circuit between India, East Africa, and Central Asia covers more than 14,000 kilometers. Researchers only piece the full picture together by tracking wind patterns, genetic markers, and seasonal population shifts across 3 continents. There was no single tagged insect to follow the whole way. The evidence had to be assembled indirectly, generation by generation. Every part of that story, the years underwater, the elite hunting, the ocean-crossing migration, depends on one thing dragonflies can't do without: water that's still there when they need it. In the first-ever global assessment of dragonflies and damselflies, scientists found that roughly 1 in 6 species, 16% of more than 6,000 assessed, are now threatened with extinction. The cause, overwhelmingly, is wetland loss. Marshes, ponds, and slow rivers drained or paved over for farmland and cities. In parts of South and Southeast Asia, more than a quarter of all species are already at risk. This isn't a distant problem. It's happening in the exact kind of water you'd find a dragonfly nymph growing up in right now. None of this is unique to dragonflies. Wetlands support fish, birds, amphibians, and drinking water supplies for entire regions. A dragonfly in decline is usually one of the first visible signs that a much bigger system is already in trouble. So here's where all of this actually lands. The animal you were taught to flinch away from has no stinger and almost never bites. What looks like a few weeks of life is really years, mostly lived underwater, mostly unseen. It hunts better than almost anything else alive, sees the world in nearly every direction at once, and its ancestors once flew at the size of hawks. And the wetlands that give it those years underwater are disappearing faster than most people realize. None of that required a single myth to be true. It only required actually looking at the animal. Protect a pond, a marsh, a slow-moving stream, and you're protecting years of a dragonfly's life you'll never actually see. And the next time someone warns you a dragonfly might sting them, you'll know there's nothing back there to sting with at all. Anything you know about dragonflies is wrong, but now, a little less of it is.